Imagine a single architectural undertaking so vast it stretches across thousands of miles, crosses every imaginable terrain, and was built over the span of 2 millennia. Imagine a wall so vast it fundamentally redefined the political boundaries of one of the world's oldest civilizations. This is the Great Wall of China. It stands as the ultimate symbol of national power, engineering ingenuity, and relentless defensive resolve. For most of us, it is a finished monument, the pinnacle of ancient military design. But what if the story we know is wrong? What if this iconic defensive masterpiece, celebrated for millennia and instantly recognizable worldwide, was never truly completed? What if the Great Wall of China, in its vast, terrifying scale, remains an unfinished project, a complex, centuries-old mystery of human ambition and an enduring puzzle of defense? Today, we are stepping beyond the postcards and the popular myths. We're going to uncover the untold story behind its complex construction, its true strategic purpose, and the surprising logistical failures that meant this incredible wonder, even in its peak defensive state, had critical and often intentional gaps. We are exploring the concept of the Great Wall not as a single static object, but as a dynamic, evolving, and ultimately never-ending defensive masterpiece. To understand why it was never finished, we first need to understand the urgent geopolitical reality that necessitated its construction in the first place: the constant, terrifying threat from the north. The first crucial realization is this: the Great Wall is a misnomer. It is not one continuous wall. It is, and always has been, a complex, sprawling network of walls, trenches, watchtowers, barracks, fortresses, and natural barriers, spanning an official length of over 13,000 miles. The walls we see today, the impressive stone and brick structures, represent only the most recent and durable sections, built primarily during the Ming Dynasty. Much of the earlier fortifications were simple mounds of rammed earth, sometimes just ditches or natural mountain ridges, reinforced with wooden palisades. These older sections are largely invisible today, eroded by time, but they were critical components of the system. This brings us to the famous myth: the Great Wall is visible from space. This is, quite simply, false. From low Earth orbit, individual human-made structures are almost impossible to discern with the naked eye. The wall's relatively narrow width and color blending into the terrain ensure it remains entirely invisible from the moon or even high-altitude orbital views. The myth, however, perfectly captures the immense scale we imagine the wall to possess. The wall was never intended to be a hermetically sealed barrier. Its true purpose was not to stop every man or horse. That was impossible, given the length. Instead, the system was designed to do three things: delay invaders, allow time to communicate and deploy forces using the beacon system, and, most importantly, control trade and migration across the border. By slowing down invaders, the system turned massive raids into minor skirmishes, making large-scale attacks logistically unviable. The wall's origin is rooted in the unifying terror of the first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, in the 3rd century BC. After uniting the fragmented Chinese states, Qin faced the ultimate existential threat: the Xiongnu nomads from the north. These tribes were fast, unpredictable, and devastatingly effective in lightning raids. Before Qin, rival kingdoms had built their own disconnected walls for protection. Qin's genius, or perhaps his madness, was the vision to connect these disparate, ineffective walls into one unified front. His goal was absolute consolidation of power, both politically and physically. The human cost was staggering. Historical accounts suggest hundreds of thousands of soldiers, convicts, and peasants were forced into labor, often dying from exhaustion, exposure, or starvation. The term rammed earth defines this era. Simple earth, gravel, and wood were compressed layer by layer into dense, durable defensive barriers. These early sections were crude but effective for the era. The immediate impact of Qin's wall was undeniable. It established a defined, militarized border for the nascent Chinese Empire, pushing back the Xiongnu threat and allowing the agricultural societies of the south to develop with a degree of stability previously unknown. However, even this monumental effort, the very foundation of the Great Wall legacy, was built in a rush, with tactical compromises made in favor of sheer length. It was the first iteration of the wall, and it was certainly not finished. By the 14th century, China faced a new and relentless threat. The Mongols rose once more, and the empire needed a shield stronger than anything built before. The Ming emperors answered with ambition unmatched. They would rebuild the Great Wall, not with earth, but with stone, brick, and fire-hardened mortar. What rose across the mountains was not just a barrier, it was a fortress, stretching over deserts, cliffs, and snowy peaks. Watchtowers stood like guardians in the sky, each one a beacon where soldiers lit fires to warn the empire of danger. In troubled times, these flames could leap across hundreds of miles in just hours, China's ancient emergency broadcast system. But the wall was not only military. Villagers lived beside it, traded at its gates, and carried stories of ghosts said to wander its battlements. Some legends spoke of a wall that breathed at night, groaning like a living giant under the weight of centuries. Others told of spirits of fallen workers who guarded the wall they died building, protectors, not tormentors. For the Ming Dynasty, this massive creation was more than a defense. It was a statement that China would stand unbroken against the world's chaos. Yet even this mighty wall could not stop time. Centuries passed, and the Great Wall faced enemies far stronger than armies: wind, rain, earthquakes, and time itself. Entire sections were swallowed by deserts, buried by sandstorms that moved like oceans across the land. Villagers once took stones to build their homes, never imagining they were dismantling one of humanity's greatest creations. By the 19th century, travelers described the wall as a sleeping giant, broken, silent, but impossible to ignore. When the modern world discovered it, myths grew like wildfire. One myth claimed you could see the wall from the moon, an idea repeated for decades, even though it wasn't true. Others believed the wall was one unbroken line, though it was really a vast network built by dynasties across 2,000 years. But the truth is far more powerful than the myths. It is a monument to generations, farmers, soldiers, emperors, and forgotten builders whose names never entered any record. Today, as millions walk its winding path, they step across history itself, over victories, sacrifices, and dreams older than most civilizations. The Great Wall stands, not because it is strong, but because the human spirit refuses to be forgotten. And as long as it stands, so do the stories of those who built it.